Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie and it's Tuesday, May 5th, 2014. On today's show, we'll be discussing the UFC Fight Night Brown vs. Silva event, our predictions for the main card, and as usual, there's all sorts of interesting MMA news going on, so we're going to cover as much of that news as possible in the final thoughts segments as time allows. On today's show, we have yours truly and Damon Gazelle. Thanks for taking part in another show, buddy. I appreciate you taking time to be here and joining me to discuss the UFC Fight Night Brown vs. Silva event and some of the MMA news that's happening. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening.
Thanks for having me, Rich. Hello, everybody.
All right, buddy. Thanks again for being here. Let's go ahead and get started right away here. The UFC Fight Night Brown vs. Silva event that's happening this Saturday, May 10th, 2014. At the U.S. Bank Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio, and will be aired on Fox Sports 1 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. First up, we have Matt Brown versus Eric Silva, the number 7 UFC ranked fighter versus the number 14 UFC ranked fighter in the welterweight division. And despite having nearly half of the losses on his record occurring in the UFC, Matt Brown has actually turned things around. And he has been on a 6-fight winning streak after being submitted by guillotine choke in round 2 by Seth Baczynski back in November of 2011 at UFC 139. And Eric Silva has been on that odd win-loss pattern that we've spoken about for his last 7 fights, and he needs to break that pattern here to try and string together a series of wins. Comments on this matchup, and how do you see this one unfolding, Damon?
I definitely want to go for Brown, but seeing as he hasn't fought in close to a year, I think Silva might actually be able to get that win streak started. Like I said, I like Brown, but the time being off never plays in a fighter's favor. So I'm actually going to go with Silva with TKO in round 2.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with this one myself there because I was looking at the same thing. Eric Silva is moderately favored by odds makers, but fans seem to disagree and favor Matt Brown for the win. Brown has the height, reach, experience, and KO/TKO advantage in this matchup, but he only has 2 more wins in his win column than Silva, and Brown has 7 more losses as well. Eric Silva has a slight advantage when it comes to the age differential, being 4 years younger, and he has a better ground game than Brown as well, with 9 submissions versus Brown's 5 submissions, and 9 of the 11 losses that Brown has in his loss column are in fact by submission. In addition to that, Brown's last 4 losses were by submission in round 2. Silva might be able to snap that win-loss pattern to get 2 consecutive wins since Brown's coming off that injury, and he hasn't fought since August of 2013. But I think Brown has the edge in the stand-up fight. But I think Silva is going to be looking to take this fight to the ground as soon as possible, look for the submission. So I, too, am going to go with Silva in this one and say Silva wins by submission in 2. Any comments on that one?
I mean, fighters' win streaks have to end, and Silva looked awesome in his last fight. He's definitely didn't strain himself in that fight. So I'm hoping he's got a great training camp coming in and actually can string some wins together. I like Matt Brown, but that time being off is never good. It's never good in your favor.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. Lorenz Larkin versus Costa Philippou, the number 20 ranked fighter versus the number 12 UFC ranked fighter in the middleweight division. This is kind of interesting, this one here. Comments and prediction for this one?
I like Costas Philippou. Lorenz Larkin is looking to come up. I believe this is going to be a stand-up war, and I think the first person that gets tagged is really going to actually start trying to take it to the ground. So whoever starts landing the hardest shots first is more than likely going to come come out the victor. You know, I I I don't see this fight actually going the distance. Um, Costas, he's on a two-fight losing streak. He needs to get in the win column again. So I'm gonna go with Costas Philippou by TKO in the second.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of going the other way on this one here. Odds makers and fans both favor Lorenz Larkin to win this matchup, but not by a large margin. This one is kind of tricky when you're looking at the stats and records for these guys. Both of these men are 2-2 out of their last 4, and both are coming into this fight off of a loss. And other than the age difference, where Larkin is 7 years younger, their physical stats are basically the same. I think this one is a flip of the coin, but I'm going to go with the odds makers and fan, and I'm going to be picking Lorenz Larkin to win by decision. Any more comments on that one?
I know Costas's last two losses were to like Carmont and Rockhold. Those
Yeah,
aren't.
they both actually lost to Carmont.
Yeah, those aren't bad losses, if you want to call loss bad. I mean, no loss is good, but when you go up against guys like that, I don't think it tarnishes your record as bad. It just shows you're not in the top tier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of tricky when you're looking at things there, because it could actually go either way,
Yeah, it could. I'm going to go with Philippou on this one.
Okay. All right. I think it's going to a decision. I just don't think they're going to stand there and bang each other. Like you said, I think once they start banging and they taste the power of each other, I think it's probably going to go to the ground, and I think it's going to cancel out the striking power of each, but I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. I'm hoping to see a brawl, but, with two power strikers, it's either going to be a TKO, KO, or they start grappling because they don't want to get hit hard.
Yeah, that's the way I think it's going to unfold. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Up next, Darren Cruickshank versus Eric Koch, the number 42 ranked fighter versus the number 38 ranked fighter in the lightweight division. Comments and prediction for this one, buddy?
Cruickshank looked pretty good in his last fight, but Eric Koch is actually a pretty good fighter. I'm gonna go this one. I am gonna go with a decision. I think Eric Koch is gonna come out the winner.
Eric Koch, he's actually the number 15 UFC ranked featherweight fighter, but this is his second fight back in the lightweight division after making his return to that division. Koch is a decent favorite by odds makers, and fans overwhelmingly favor Koch over Cruickshank. I want to go with Cruickshank to win, but I'm being swayed by both odds makers and fans to pick Koch to win this one. So I'm going to go with Eric Koch by submission in 2. Any other comments on that one?
I like Koch. He's a well-rounded fighter, and I just don't think Cruickshank is ready for a guy like that.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of looking at things with my heart there, because I do like Darren Cruickshank. But again, when you're looking at things there and you're looking at their rankings in the division and how well or how high Koch was ranked in the featherweight division, we'll see what happens after this one where he's going to be ranked. But I don't recall how he did in the featherweight division. Was he doing decent in that division, or?
I believe he was. Let me see what his record was. I mean, he was always one of those guys that that you had to go through to. His last 2 wins were to Poirier and Ricardo Lamas. So that those are once again those are top-notch fighters that those losses don't look too terribly bad on your record when they are some of the elite fighters. I mean, Ricardo Lamas just fought Aldo for the title not too terribly long ago.
And those 2 losses in a row in the featherweight division?
Yeah. And he Koch's last win was over Rafael Oliveira at UFC 170. So
That's a good win.
yeah, I mean he's coming off a win.
So he was probably actually ranked higher than number 15 when you consider those two losses there, right?
Possibly. He beat Jonathan Brookings and Rafael Assunção and well, Francisco Rivera and Bendy Casimir. So I mean, he's fought some top guys, but when he went to the top guys, he didn't do as well. But he's still one of those guys that is, I believe, he has the talent. He can't string wins together, and he's not ready yet for the more elite fighters in the division.
Yeah, that probably spurred the move back to the lightweight.
Possibly. I mean, but Lamas and is no chump, and neither is
Dustin Poirier.
yeah, Poirier, who is, I believe, what is he ranked? I believe he's ranked pretty high. I mean, that dude is a beast.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Neil Magny versus Tim Means, the number 68 ranked versus the number 115 ranked fighter in the welterweight division. This matchup is kind of interesting with Magny being ranked so much higher than Means, but with Means being the favorite by odds makers and overwhelmingly favored by fans. What are your comments and prediction on this one?
These are guys that I haven't really seen fight much. They're kind of the ones that you kind of have to go off of, look at their records and look at their stats and how they stack up against each other. They're both coming off losses. It's a toss-up. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Means on this one as well. Just I don't know a whole lot about him. I've seen him on undercards and stuff like that, but they're not standout names to me.
How do you think this one? How do you think it ends? Means by
a decision. We've had a lot of finishes as of late, so I think we're about due for a lot of decisions too.
Yeah, you seem to have a thing for predicting that way that flows.
It does seem to work that way. You get a bunch of events that have a lot of finishes, and then all of a sudden you go on a decision streak as well.
Yeah, even though height, reach, and age all favor Neil Magny, I believe this one is going to be Tim Means who is the victor in this one due to the massive difference in their experience. I'm going to go with Tim Means by KO in 2. Does that sound shocking to you?
No, because I don't. I mean, I don't. I don't want to downplay either of them, but yeah, Tim Means is what 75% TKO KO percentage. He only got a 1-inch reach disadvantage. I don't know enough about either fighter to really give a great prediction on that one.
Yeah, I actually kind of struggle with several of the fights on the main card here. It's but again, this might be one of those events where the main card turns out to be better than it looks on paper.
Yeah. I mean, we had the one show where we didn't know anybody, but that turned out to be one of the better events of the year. I mean, you can't rule anybody out because you don't know them. It's the fights that make the event. If there's great fights, it doesn't matter who is in there fighting. I always enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's just so difficult too because when you don't know who the fighters are and you haven't really seen them fight, how do you really gauge what's going to happen other than, like you're saying, looking at their records? And Again, numbers don't always mean everything, but they do mean a lot. So.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one there. Palelei versus Potts, the number 20 ranked fighter versus the number 77 ranked fighter in the heavyweight division. And after getting off to a bit of a questionable start in the UFC at UFC 164, so Palelei has the opportunity to prove his worth and medal once again in the heavyweight division. He did make a bit of a comeback in his last fight there, but this matchup is a bit odd. Personally, I have no idea who Potts is. We were just talking about that, and from what I'm looking at here, he appears to be outmatched in this fight here. What are your comments and predictions on this one?
I want to see Palelei get it going. Like you said, I don't really know much about Potts. They don't have much about him on the UFC site.
I couldn't even find the guy's age when I was looking.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna go with Sal by TKO in the first on this one.
Okay. Palelei is understandably the favorite by both odds makers and fans, and I've got to go with Palelei for the win as well. I'm picking Silva Palelei to win by KO in 2, and I hope this does in fact turn out to be a win for him, because it would be dreadful. I mean, I don't know if you recall that first fight that he had in the UFC where it's like, are you kidding me? This guy is not UFC material. Do you remember that
fight? Palelei?
Yeah, I can't recall who his opponent was, but geez, it was a dreadful fight. I'm like, you got to be shitting
me. Yeah, I mean, there are those fights, where you wonder how they made it there, but.
Yeah, in that fight, I can't remember who his opponent was, but they were both gassed at the end of round 1. I was like, you can't go more than one round in the UFC. You probably shouldn't be fighting in the UFC.
Well, with heavyweights too, though. I mean, if you're going out there,
they weren't really muscular heavyweights either, though.
They're still heavyweights. I mean, they don't have the best cardio. That Kane is a beast because of his cardio. He's one of those guys, kind of like John Jones, that kind of defies the standards, and you see a lot of heavyweights gassing towards the ends of fights. I'm surprised they ever have 5-round fights with heavyweights, because most of them don't go that long, and when they do, they look like they're about to keel over and die.
Yeah, I think the stat on as far as the wins and finishes go in the heavyweight division is most of them end by TKO or KO. And they're usually within 1 or 2 rounds. Yeah. Okay, any more comments on that one? That one there, we kind of don't know a whole lot about. That one fella, he's from South Africa, Potts.
Yeah.
First fight in the UFC, so good luck to him. But
it is heavyweight, and heavyweight is definitely the weight division that anything can happen.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen it over and again where you're thinking that one fighter is going to beat the other guy, and then one punch completely turns the fight around.
Yeah, and heavyweight, that seems to happen more than any other division because of the size of the guys.
Oh yeah, and also Palelei, he was much larger from when I was looking at the numbers and everything. I think he outweighs this guy Potts by like 30 pounds or something like that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the only division that they don't have to weigh in the same.
Mm-hmm.
They've got such a huge gap.
Okay, let's move on to the last fight of our predictions, but this is the opening bout on the main card. Chris Cariaso versus Louis Smolka, the number 10 UFC ranked fighter versus the number 17 ranked fighter in the flyweight division. Comments and predictions on this one?
Cariaso is ranked number 10 in the division, but Smolka is got a 7-0 record. He looked good in his last fight. I think he's actually going to go somewhere in the division, and I actually am going to pick him by a decision.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with this one here too, because I have this one as a flip of the coin. odds makers are giving a slight edge to Smolka, but fans are strongly favoring Smolka to win this one. With only one fight in the UFC for Smolka, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to pick Chris Cariaso to win by decision. So we're on opposite ends of the spectrum on that one there. So it should be interesting to see how this one unfolds. Again, it'd be a big move up for Louis Smolka, being ranked number 17, being the number 10 ranked UFC fighter. So good luck to him as well.
Yeah.
Okay, any more comments on this one? Do they have any ladies fighting on this card?
I don't believe they do. No, not that I'm seeing.
Okay.
Ed Herman's fighting in the prelims. Wineland's fighting in the prelims. The prelims look not too bad with those two fighting. Gambarian's going to be on Fight Pass. It looks like a pretty decent event for not being a pay-per-view. But
I didn't even actually look at this one until yesterday when we decided that we were going to do the show today, and then I figured, oh, what the hell? If we're going to do the show, we might as well do predictions for the main card. But I didn't even look at the card until yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to it either. Not because of the card, but I'm more focused on Silva and Brown. I want to see that fight. When you have so many events, it tends to let the excitement go down. I mean, we had a break for a little while, but we've just had a couple of events, and the closer you keep them together, the less excitement there is for them. I mean, there is a 2-week layoff between 172 and this, but still, once I start watching it, I'll get more excited for it. But other than
Especially
that,
being that it's for free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited to watch the UFC, but the lead up to it is there's not much hype for this one. You love seeing the hype, and sometimes you don't, because the hype sometimes actually turns it into a worse event than what you wanted. But it's one of those things. It'd probably be a good event, but you never know. Names don't always make events. The
That's
fights
true.
do.
That's true.
So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I'll be watching it. And like I said, I'm actually hoping Silva can complete 2 wins in a row.
That would be nice, but I also would love to see Brown get the win.
Yeah, I like Matt Brown, too, but I really think Silva
Struggled dramatically early on in his career, and I'm actually in his UFC career, and I'm actually surprised that he was able to maintain his contract in the UFC with all the losses that he had in the UFC. It's shocking.
Well, he puts on exciting fights, That's the thing. If you're out there, if you're busting your ass, you're putting on a show for the fans, the UFC will keep you around. If you go out there and fans are booing, the UFC is going to tend to
let you know.
overlook you.
Oh, and even if you're a wrestler and you lay on fighters, they definitely will let you go. So we've seen that over and again within the last year.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. That's the end of the Silva and Brown event. Let's do the final thoughts segment. Let's keep these answers pretty short here. A few topics that the guys on the site wanted to talk about: Cole Miller versus Conor McGregor. What do you think about that one?
Oh man, I can't wait to see Conor fight again. I love watching that guy. He is so unpredictable. Nobody wants to fight him really. I mean, Aldo just had some comments about him, talking crap or whatever, when he's only got like 1 win in the UFC. But, if you look at that win, if you look at that fight, man, this dude is a beast.
Yeah, I typically don't like shit-talking fighters, but I do happen to like Conor McGregor. I think he's a shit talker, but he does it in a comedic way,
Yeah, but you also have to look at Conor McGregor and where he's from, and that if you're an Irish fighter, I don't I don't care if you're gonna shit talk because you're gonna shit talk whether you're in a bar or whether you're in a fight or whatnot. You know,
Yeah.
he's Irish. I mean,
Shit talking over in the UK seems to be a big thing.
yeah. I mean, the Irish too, though, man. I look for good things out of Conor McGregor, and
Well, I just hope he's not coming back too soon because didn't he have a nasty knee injury or something like that? That's the reason that he was out.
um, I'm not sure what his injury was. I know he was out for. He had gotten injured. I believe it was in his last.
Like that he got injured.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think it was a knee injury.
it's possible. I mean,
How long ago was that fight?
I would have to look it up.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It just seems like it wasn't that long ago, that he fought when you're looking at some of the other fighters who go out for knee injuries and they're out for 9 months at a time. I don't think he was out for 9 months, was he?
It looks like it was an ACL tear.
Yeah.
I think it was actually in training that it happened.
No, I thought it was actually after the fight. Because I think he said he hurt his knee during the fight.
No, it might have been in the fight. I'm just looking at something where it said that he'd actually got tapped out in training. I'm actually reading an article by Jason Nawara on it.
Yeah, he was actually calling out everybody, Conor McGregor. He was on UFC Tonight the other night, and he even shut Chael Sonnen down as far as the smack talk goes.
Like I said, he's Irish, man. He's got the Irish blood. Yeah, the Irish are known for fighting, and for him to smack talk, I mean, as long as he can back it up, I don't mind it. Seeing as he is an Irish fighter, the guy is exciting to watch. I can't wait to see more of him.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's move on to the next one there. Donald Cerrone versus Jim Miller. Fight winner possibly gets a title shot. What do you think about that real quickly?
Man, Cerrone's been looking great. He did get rocked a little bit in the first round. Well, the only round in his last fight, but him getting that sub on Barboza was a pretty decent comeback after the first couple of minutes of round one. You know, Cerrone, he strikes and takes advantage of opponents when they're hurt. I think he's going to actually win the fight, but um, he's once again, he's got all three of his fights this year. I believe this year are he's gotten fight of the night, or he's gotten some award for it. He plans on fighting 6 times again this year, so we'll see. Um,
So is a title shot
I
warranted if he gets to win?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if he's got 4 wins in a row, I mean,
Where's he ranked in the UFC?
uh, I'm not sure. He's pretty high. But with the title shot, it's kind of far off to actually say that one or the other is going to have it because Anthony Pettis has the belt and he's getting ready to do TUF 20, and that it's going to be a while before he fights again.
Yeah.
He's going to go against Gilbert Melendez, and so much can happen in that time. I don't, the title contention from that. I don't think it's really. I don't think this matchup should be a title contention match.
Yeah, they'll be waiting for a while, like you said there. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Andrei Arlovski returns to the UFC. kind of shocking that he's made his return to the UFC. I was trying to find out some information on that and why the WSOF organization allowed him to get out of his contract and go back to the UFC. Kind of weird, but he's going to be fighting Brendan Schaub in his return match.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of hoping that that Arlovski they're going to try and nix that match and maybe give him Stipe Miocic since JDS got hurt. You know, they need to do something to save the TUF Brazil card. Arlovski, I loved him when he was with the UFC. Will his chin hold up? That's going to be the question. I really love watching the guy fight. You know.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Arlovski back in the day when he was in the UFC, back in that era when Matt Hughes and all those guys were at the top of their game.
Yeah, he was an exciting fighter. I mean, I can understand why the UFC picked him up because he is an exciting fighter.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like you're saying, I mean, he's taken so many shots to the chin there that he's got the proverbial glass jaw. But again, heavyweight division, how many shots can you take like that over and over again? And I think even didn't Anthony Johnson blast him with a shot that dropped him, but that fight wound up going to a decision, I believe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But Johnson wound up beating him, and Johnson was going up from light heavyweight to the heavyweight to fight Arlovski over at WSOF.
The WSOF. Yeah, I really don't get to see too many WSOF events because I don't have the channel.
Yeah, I prefer watching them over Bellator, and I actually got to see some of the Glory fights the other night. I wanted to see how Pat Barry did there. I heard he got knocked out. I didn't get to see the fight, but I wonder if that's going to change the complexion of things for Pat Barry now that he's lost another fight and got knocked out again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love Pat Barry. He's a funny guy. He interacts with his fans a lot, which is always great to have in a fighter. But if you keep getting knocked out, it's how many times can you get knocked out before you decide to actually retire, to worry more about your health than anything else? I think he could be a great coach somewhere for kickboxing. But you never want to see guys getting knocked out.
It's over and over.
Over and over.
Yeah. All right, we have more topics to talk about here, but we're not going to be able to do them all. Let's do one more topic here.
Okay.
JDS has injured his hand, and he is out of the TUF Brazil 3 finale with Stipe Miocic. So from what I'm understanding, that one's definitely off, and from what I've read, it looks like they're trying to find somebody to match up with Miocic in that one. Have you heard anything on that?
I haven't heard any. The UFC that I know of as of right now hasn't announced anybody to step up. It's May 31st. It's a short notice heavyweight fight against Stipe Miocic. It is going to be kind of hard to find somebody, but kudos to any guy that does step up and goes up against him. I'm hoping they don't have to scrap that. They've already had to scrap Sonnen and Wanderlei because of Wandy getting injured and that little scrap they had filming TUF. This card just seems doomed, the main event anyways. Hopefully JDS, he's got a fractured finger, can heal up pretty quick. Fingers.
Is this going to be a Fight Pass thing?
I don't believe, well, I'm wondering, it might be because of, because the TUF Brazil was actually on Fight Pass.
Yep.
So I think it might actually, no, actually it is on Fox Sports 1.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'll watch it. I was going to say if it was on Fight Pass, I wasn't even going to pay any attention to it.
Yeah. Munoz versus Musasi is on Fight Pass. Well, hold on a second. That's in Berlin. They've got 2 events, it looks like, for Saturday.
Yeah, I read something about that where they were having 2 events in one day or 2 events in one weekend or something like that.
Well, it's showing UFC Fight Night Munoz versus Masasi from Germany, Saturday, May 31st, and then the TUF Brazil finale, Saturday, May 31st as well. So it looks like, well, I mean,
All-day event of MMA UFC.
yeah, I mean, that'll actually be pretty good because that event starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, the Masasi and Munoz. So the time difference, it,
So I think it's like
it should
six
work.
hours or 7 hours or something like that, or 8 hours from Germany. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, plus you've got the prelims and everything. So I mean, it could actually turn out and maybe have a half hour or something before the next one starts.
And is that on Fight Pass or is that on Fox?
The Munoz versus Masasi is on Fight Pass, and
Yeah.
Fox Sports One is the TUF Brazil.
All
So
right. Well, I won't be watching the German event then.
yeah, I don't understand why they have the one uh, on Fight Pass and the other on Fox Sports One because TUF Brazil is actually on Fight Pass, so that would have made more sense.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. All right. We've reached the end of the show here, buddy. Thanks again for joining me. We'll do another post-event show probably on Sunday. And as always, you're welcome to join me for that one. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, buddy. So I'll see you next time.
All right, have a good one, Rich. Now, if you'd like to join us on the shows, either contact Rich at Rich Davie on Twitter or me at DG Fishing Time. Um, we'd love to get more people in here, get more opinions on fights. And we also have a Facebook page. Uh, Rich, I'm sure will put the links to that, and we also have a website, and Rich will also put a link to that in either the comments or in the info for this video.
Yeah, and all of the videos that we do, if you go through the information section or description of the video, you'll find the links to all of those things, to all of the guys that take part in the show, to the Facebook page, to the Twitter page, and to the forum where we actually get together and plan the shows out. And like Damon said, we're getting some people that are saying that they want more involvement from other fans and things like that, and we're all for that. We've tried to actually line things up with several other MMA fans, but for some reason, we can't seem to coordinate and sync up with everybody when it comes to doing the show. So if you're interested on being on the show with us and you want to voice your opinion on MMA or news or anything that we might be covering, you're more than welcome to join us. So like I said, just look in the description of the videos and you'll find out all the links to contact us. And again, anybody is more than welcome to join us on the show. If you're an MMA fan, we'd love to have you.
Now, camera, and headset is preferred, but we also do have a call-in number that we can do where you can call in and comment as well, and then join in on the show.
Yeah, if you just let us know in advance how you want to do it, then we have to schedule the show a certain way. If we're going to have a call-in show, we have to do it through another link. But if you have Google and you have a headset and a mic, you're more than welcome to join us. Again, that number that I would have was going to be a U.S. number, so not going to help out other people in other countries, but it's good for the United States. So as long as you're on your cell phone, it's a free call. All right, buddy. Thanks again for showing up. Appreciate it.
All right, Rich. You have a good one, bud.
You too, buddy. We'll talk to you next time.
Take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye.